Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a video for the hometown crowd. Yes, it is one of those videos where either you're going to need to hit pause right now, go pour yourself 3 fingers of bourbon, do some breathing exercises, or in fact, grab a barf bag. Why is that? Well, the first Liz Berry gun bill has dropped. We just did this video right here, and we're like, well, it's bad, but yeah, I think it's going to get a lot worse because, well, you know, Liz Berry is coming, and here it is. This is the first bill, and this will be a second run at requiring all of you to get the state's permission through a license before you can even purchase a firearm. That's right. They tried it once before. It failed. They're going to try it again. We're going to talk about this bill. It's a big one. It's an ugly one. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about a permission slip to exercise a right. Okay, Washington, it's that time of the year and it's getting uglier because Liz Berry bills are dropping. This is House Bill 1163, sponsored by you-know-who. This would, if enacted into law, require all of you to go get a license from the state of Washington before you could go purchase a firearm, okay? Put it a couple of different ways so you can understand just how dumb this bill is. This is a bill that's going to require you to get government's permission before you can exercise a constitutional right. Or if you really want to simplify it, it's a law that will require you to go through a background check before you're allowed to go through a background check. That's exactly what this bill does. Now, we're going to have to get through it really quick and fast. And yeah, it's about 60-something pages, but we got to get through it quickly. Otherwise, guys like Mike Harris out there are going to get all upset on social media. So let's get right to it. Now, you may recall in House Bill 1143, that was the first run at trying to get a license, which got watered down, turned into an educational requirement. The license that you would have to go seek would require all the same curriculum that you can find on classes such as Dan Mitchell's down at her Sporting Systems at a very affordable price that can be done quite efficiently. But in addition to all of that educational material, the license will also require live fire shooting exercises on a firing range that include a demonstration by the applicant of the safe handling of and shooting proficiency with firearms. So now what this law would do is it would require the State Patrol to set up training programs that would require in-class exercise and then on-range exercise and demonstration before you would then be bestowed the permission slip from the state of Washington to then go purchase a firearm. Of course, it would come with the whole background check as well as fingerprinting and all of that. So when I say that you're having to go through a background check to go through a background check, that's exactly what's occurring. Now, in addition to all the ways that you would think the state could deny an application for a permit to purchase, you know, like being a convicted felon, domestic violence, otherwise being disqualified from possessing a firearm, this bill, if it became law, also has other ways in which you can be denied, including in any case where the applicant has an outstanding warrant for his or her arrest from any court of competent jurisdiction for felony or misdemeanor. The Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program shall advise the dealer that the delivery of the firearm is delayed. The Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program shall confirm the existence of outstanding warrants after notification of the application to purchase a firearm is received. Upon confirming that the warrant is valid, the Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program will advise the dealer that the transfer of the firearm is denied. So yeah, listen, I'm not a big fan of people having active warrants, and that can hold up other types of licensing in the state, such as your driver's license. Obviously, this bill wants to tie it into a license, however, to exercise a right. You do have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. You actually don't have a constitutional right to a driver's license. Oh, but if there's any kind of open charges whatsoever, and theoretically, the way this bill is written, it could be open charges for something that even if you were convicted, you would not be disqualified from having a firearm. That too will require a delay and potentially a denial because the bill reads, in any case where the Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program has reasonable grounds based on the following circumstances: 1, open criminal charges; 2, pending criminal proceedings; 3, pending commitment proceedings; or 4, an arrest for an offense making a person ineligible under RCW 9.41.040 to possess a firearm, if the records of disposition have not yet been reported or entered sufficiently to determine eligibility to purchase or receive a firearm, the Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program shall notify the dealer that delivery of the firearm is delayed in order to confirm existing records in this state or elsewhere, or to confirm the identity of the applicant. So, like I said, if you merely have open criminal charges, it can be for driving on a license suspended in the third degree. It can be something completely unrelated to the possession of firearms. It could be something completely unrelated to you being a dangerous individual. That, of course, will hold things up. Now, what will the new application require? That is, what kind of information do you have to provide in order to get your permit to purchase? Well, if this becomes law, the following. A completed permit application is provided in subsection 3 of this section. B, a complete set of fingerprints taken by the local law enforcement agency in the jurisdiction in which the applicant resides. And listen, Washington, you may reside in a jurisdiction that does not have the time nor the resources to be taking fingerprints from every Tom, Dick, and Harry, which means that could create significant delay. What else does the application require? A certificate of completion of a certified firearms safety training program within the last 5 years, or proof that the applicant is exempt from the training requirement. We'll talk about those exemptions in a moment, but I can assure you it's not most of you. D, the permit application fee as provided in subsection 11 of this section, which is $36 plus whatever fee you've been charged for the background check, plus any other administrative fees, and of course those fees are all adjustable over time. An application for a permit to purchase firearms must include the applicant's A, full name and place and date of birth, B, residential address and current mailing address if different from the residential address, C, driver's license number or state identification card number, D, physical description, E, race and gender, F, telephone number and email address at the option of the applicant, and G, an electronic signature. Now, remember, of course, anytime you're applying for any kind of license related to your Second Amendment right, under Washington law, you are, of course, waiving confidentiality. And this bill specifically states, a signed application for a permit to purchase firearms shall constitute a waiver of confidentiality in written request that courts, the healthcare authority, mental health institutions, and other healthcare facilities release information relevant to the applicant's eligibility for a permit to purchase firearms to an inquiring court or the Washington State Patrol Firearms Background Check Program. Oh, and understand, if Washington State Patrol's background check system were to go down again, all of you would be hosed, because the bill specifically states a background check for an original permit must be conducted through the Washington State Patrol Criminal Records Division and shall include a national check from the Federal Bureau of Investigation through the submission of fingerprints. One of these permits to exercise a constitutional right would be good for 5 years. However, the State Patrol would be tasked with running a background check on every single permit holder annually to make sure that you are still allowed to possess that permission slip. A permit to purchase firearms issued under this section does not authorize the holder of the permit to carry a concealed pistol. That's right, Washington. So if you're new to this, this is what's going to happen if this becomes law. You're going to have to go through a background check before you could purchase a firearm. And then, of course, when you go and purchase your firearm, you're going to have to go through a background check. And then, of course, when you want to get your CPL, you're going to have to go through a background check. So just want you to know that in many instances, this is now a triple background check just to dip your toes into the Second Amendment waters. Okay, now we mentioned at the very outset that, listen, what's required in Washington State's firearms safety class would be also the curriculum that would be required here, but then there is the addition of live fire shooting exercises on a firing range that include a demonstration by the applicant of the safe handling of and shooting proficiency with firearms. So what exactly does that mean? What would that class entail? Does the statute spell anything out about it? Well, this is what the bill says. The training required for issuance of a license under this section must be from a concealed carry firearms safety training program certified under Section 4 of this Act that includes live fire shooting exercises on a firing range that include a demonstration by the applicant of the safe handling of and shooting proficiency with firearms, including a minimum of 50 rounds of ammunition firing training at a firing range under the supervision of an instructor. Oh, but if you're a concealed carry holder already, that would exempt you from that, right? Wrong, okay? There actually is more exceptions right now to Washington's educational class requirement. This bill, if it becomes law, will remove some of those exceptions from not only the educational requirement, but from the permit to purchasing. So really, unless you are a general authority law enforcement officer, so if you are a special deputy, retired, or anything like that, you will not be exempt, okay? And then only active members of the military are going to be exempt from some of these requirements. The rest of us, lawful and responsible Washington residents, no, we will all be subjected to this. Okay, and then finally, I want you to understand the timing of all of this, okay? Because even though this is written up as a shall issue, and it shall be issued within 30 days of the application being submitted, I want you to understand what really happens, and I want you to put yourself in the position of somebody who maybe is going through a terrible divorce and their ex-husband is going, you know what, crazy on them right now, and even though they got restraining orders, they're just pieces of paper, and they are not at all comfortable with their safety. And they want to go out and they want to protect themselves. Okay, well, first of all, they're going to have to fill out an application for a permit to purchase, but they got to get fingerprinted first. So how many days does it take for them to call to finally get in to get fingerprinted? And remember, it has to be done at the police station in the jurisdiction in which they live, which could create all sorts of wrinkles depending on where you live. Now, once you got the fingerprints, now you can submit your permit to purchase, that is your hall pass, okay? But the state has up to 30 days to give you that. So now we're at least 30 days plus however long it took us to get the fingerprints. Then we could go marching right away into a gun store, pass the background check instantly, but here's the deal under Washington law, there's also a 10-day waiting period. So now we are 40 days into it, plus however long it took us to get our fingerprints. And during that entire time, this particular individual who's under an absolute legitimate threat is protected by what? A court order? So Washington, I want you to understand this. Despite all of the real problems that we have in this state, there is a state legislator who believes that the only way these communities are ever going to get safer is by disarming you, the lawful and responsible Washington resident. Yet, despite the fact that her efforts have been successful in getting legislation passed year after year after year, why is it? Why is it that these communities are not getting any safer? And perhaps it is because we keep going after the wrong people. This is a bill which, if it becomes law, is going to require you to get a permission slip from government before you can exercise a right. This is a bill that, if it becomes law, will require you to go through a background check before you're given the privilege to go through a background check. It is House Bill 1163. We're going to link it up down below. Mike Harris, sorry that this video took so long. I do encourage that you should at least grab some bourbon, do some breathing exercises, or grab a barf bag before you sit down and read the bill. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights here in Washington State, which currently is not much, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, cool. You click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, you can do that by clicking on all the information right down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.